Hey church, happy Tuesday to you, February 2nd. Good to see you. I'm Joe Hollenbach. I'm a member here, and it is awesome to be with you today. Dave's taking a little break from the Daily Dose, so you've got a whole slew of us different folk popping up, and we're so excited to spend the week with you. So for me today, I don't know if a lot of you know what I've been going through in the month of January, because you guys have been so kind and brought me food and well wishes and prayers, and we have such a good church community here. It's so empowering. But January was arguably one of the worst months of my life as a married man, because I'm not that domestic, and basically all the domesticity came on to me. My wife broke both her arms. I got in a car wreck and totaled our car, so we were down a car. Our son injured his wrist. I had to go back to work. The kids had to go back to school. It was just one thing after another. And it really felt like coinciding with the season of fasting our church was doing. And I know this to be true with so many other people in the church, like a season of assault on people who were, invested in growing in their spiritual formation with Jesus. And it's easy to let that get you down. So I found myself at different times inwardly. I did a good job outwardly of being, calm and cool because I had to be, but inwardly there were issues of not so much resentment, but just like anger and frustration at the situation. And that really got me in my prayer time, speaking with God about what in me wants to respond that way the first time something bad happens or something doesn't go my way. And so what I want to share with you guys today is basically my variation this last month on a couple of verses, 3 actually, that kind of go into who our God is in times of frustration, at least in my experience. I always think of it as the God of deep waters from the passage in Isaiah. And there are 3 things that I think really kind of encapsulate what to do if you find yourself under assault, or like Satan's got you in his crosshairs and the world's devices are coming for you. The first one, like I said, comes from Isaiah, the God of deep waters. He says, "When you go through deep waters, I will be with you. When you go through rivers of difficulty, you will not drown. You will walk through the fires of oppression, and you will not be burned up, and flames will not consume you." So tip number 1 to always keep in mind is that Jesus is with you no matter how bumpy the road gets or how rough it goes. In those moments where it feels like it's just one thing after another, if you have a January like mine, whatever that looks like, God's right there in the midst of it with you. He's not looking on from the side waiting for you to tag him in. No, he's right there with you. Engage in, be mindful of his presence, and really lean into it. Understand that he's right there treading water, holding you up like a buoy. The God of deep waters won't let you drown. He said so. The second thing that I really kind of focused on when I got to this came out of 1 Corinthians 13, which is obviously famous, and everybody understands that it's beautiful and poetic, and the power of love. And love is important, but there's also some nuance to that passage, especially when you get to the latter half of the chapter. I had to, over the last month, basically realize I'm not going to understand everything that's happening to me. And that's something that's really tough for me. Pastor Jeff was talking on Sunday about how we're building up idols, and we need to be aware of that. And maybe your idol is your intellect or your image, and that's definitely me. He was speaking right to me when he talked about that on Sunday. I'm a person who craves knowledge because knowledge gives me a sense of power over a situation. But sometimes your world assaults you in such a way that you are powerless and you don't understand it. And when you get to the latter half of 1 Corinthians 13, what we have is this. It says, we see in a mirror dimly, and eventually we're going to see it clearly, as it says, face to face. But we only see half-truths. We only speak in part prophecies, as the earlier verses say. We only know half of the story. And so there's going to be confusion when the hard times come upon you. Learn to embrace that. You don't have to figure it out. You can ask God for clarity and for direction, and he'll give it if he sees it fit. But I think that God likes us to struggle in our lack of knowledge, because it draws us nearer to him and puts more faith and trust in him. And I really kind of took hold of that this month in both the fasting that we just got done, but also specifically in the situation where I had no clue what was coming at me next. That, whatever it was going to be okay. because God's there and he's going to explain what I need to know, and I have to follow the direction he gives me. And that led me to the third point, which is you're not going to know everything, and that's okay. All right, that's okay. When we look at probably the most famous verse about suffering for a Christian, Romans 8:28, and we get into it, it says, we know in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. It doesn't matter what comes your way, because God's going to turn it into something that benefits you. He doesn't set the world against you. He's not a malevolent God who's looking to make you powerless and afraid, but he is able to take these devices meant for evil and turn them to good, to make them something that will work to your benefit. You might not understand it. That's okay. If you love God, this is the promise that he gives to his children. He's right there. You won't understand it. Trust in him and love him, and it'll be okay. So January's been tough for me. I'm so glad to see February. And I just want to speak into y'all's lives a quick prayer of affirmation and hope, because that's what I need more than anything right now. And I guarantee I'm not alone. Pray with me. Jesus, you're good and we love you. We thank you for the many works you're doing, both as a church group here at Christ Church, but also individually in the members here. We know your power, we know your glory, we know your sincerity for us, Lord. Draw us near. Make us okay with our lack of understanding. Help us feel you in your presence in the moments where we're not sure what to do next, and give us the grace to move forward in full confidence that you're with us and that you're leading the way. It's in God's name we pray. Amen.